Well, we just got news about Hearthstone's new year of the Pegasus and some things that are coming for this next year for Hearthstone. And that includes the core set. And now we have more information about the core set, what cards are going to be in core, some changes. So let's take a look at all of these. Hey everyone, I'm Dragon Raider, Queen of Cards. Let's jump into these core set cards, which, oh my gosh. Okay, so we all see the Leroy already. That was kind of already, introduced in that Year of the Pegasus blog post. But yeah, we can definitely, with the Leroy here, and then, of course, who wrote this? Iconic Cards Return. We're charging into the new year head first. Who wrote this? All right, deck tag. I called you out. I love it. So clearly we're going to be getting some charge stuff back into core set, which it hasn't been in standard for a while now. They kind of removed a lot of those charge cards, still a few, but they're bringing some of these back. So Leroy, definitely a very iconic card and iconic character in World of Warcraft and the community at large. So let's take a look. I love the Pegasus icon. These are the 4 cards that we did see in that kind of teaser image in the Pegasus blog post. So Leroy here, the Fiery War Axe, Justicar True Heart, and Wrath of Air Totem. That's right. The spell damage totem is coming back for Shaman. And Justicar True Heart, definitely kind of an older card at this point, but replacing the starting hero power with a better one. So yeah, those upgraded hero powers, newer players who may have joined after Justicar wasn't in standard, this will be pretty new for you. So it'll be exciting. And yeah, the spell damage totem back. Also, friendly new faces, celebrating with Warcraft Rumble inspired cards added directly into the core set. Okay, these are pretty neat. These are pretty cool. For anyone who has played Warcraft Rumble or kind of even seen the advertisements, you'll probably recognize these characters. So to have these like new iconic characters from one of their other IPs put into Hearthstone is pretty cool. So we have this S.A.F.E pilot, a rushing minion, kind of expensive, but also damages minions next to whomever this attacks. By the way, when are we getting a keyword for that? When are we getting like cleave or some other keyword for that? Because I feel like at this point, there's been enough of those effects. We should have a keyword. But it also has a death rattle, deal 2 damage to all enemies. That includes the opponent's face. So now I understand why it costs 6. That's some pretty powerful effects. Plus, with it only being 2 health, the death rattle likely triggering the turn you play it and attack into something. So, wow. The Warsong Grunt, a 5 mana 3/6 with Rush. After this attacks and kills a minion, it may attack again. Yeah, we've kind of had stats like this, the 5/3/6 with Rush. So this isn't like totally out of line from what we've already seen, but this is going to be definitely pretty good for more like wide board small minions. The Night Elf Huntress, a 5 mana 3/3 battlecry, deal 3 damage to 3 different enemies, and you pick the targets. Also, again, just different enemies, so this can go face, but I'm assuming you can only, because it says 3 different enemies, you only be able to select their face once. So if they have face and 1 minion, then you can hit that 1 minion once and their face once. But still, pretty neat. And then Footman, a 4 mana 2/5 taunt. Adjacent minions are immune while attacking. Whew, all right. Pretty decent. It's a little more expensive, but the immune, that's pretty incredible. I would say that's probably even better than Divine Shield, at least for your turn. It is while attacking, but dang. Oh, speaking of new keywords, new keyword Elusive. After years, finally pinned down our most evasive keyword yet, Elusive. They can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. So there definitely are minions like that we've had in the game for a while. So it does say that they're updating, including the card you voted back into the core set from back in December. There was on social medias, they had like a voting. They had a few cards that you could pick from, and Evasive Worm was the card that won those polls. So here is that card that's going to be coming into core set. You can see it has that new elusive keyword. And core card shakeups, because core set is free baseline set. It's always a good time to evaluate what they want for the foundation of the year. So last year, for what we're wrapping up in Hearthstone, they had a lot of magnetic and kind of mechs and stuff. So they brought back that. But I do want to point out that it does note this year, we felt it was time to uproot Druid's ramping mechanic, reduced rune requirements for several Death Knight cards, and upgrade some of the old favorites for the modern game. So there's multiple links if you want to look at the graphics, if you want a text only, and then you can look at all the cards for core and then the adjustment cards. So let's take a look at some of those. First, I want to take a look at the cards that are being adjusted. So here's the graphic for it. And the first thing that I see on here definitely is just like how many Death Knight cards there are. So one side is the new to the core set, and then the other side is returning to core set, but with the adjustments. So you can see how different the cards are. But look at how many Death Knight cards there are. So many Death Knights. So many Death Knight cards. Some of them have been reduced like from 3 rune requirements down to 2, or they've had the runes completely taken off. So that's a lot of adjustments there. The one that stands out to me, I would say, is the No Muncher. So, all right. Yeah, lots of Death Knight cards there. And then a lot of the Druid cards. I think what really stands out to me here is the Ysera and the multiple Ysera cards, the dream cards that come with that, are also changing. These are cards that get added to your hand. So you can see Ysera at the end of your turn, get 2 random dream cards. And then we have the Laughing Sister that can't be targeted with that new keyword Elusive. The Ysera Awakens for 2 mana, deal 5 damage to all except Ysera, all characters. Which means it hits face again, because it was like that, then they changed it to only minions, now they're changing it back. So it does hit face. And then we do see a few of these kind of iconic cards returning for neutrals. I want to point these out. S.A.F.E, 7/7 for 7 elemental. Battlecry, gain 2 of Rush, Taunt, Defiant Shield, or Wind Fury. Your choice. I love that. That used to be such a fun card when it came out. I loved playing S.A.F.E. So to see this back, and then you getting to choose. I feel like I talk about this quite often when I do some like card reveals or card reviews, and kind of just talk about how cards can be used, and being able to have that flexibility and choose how you are going to use cards in different situations is so impactful. Like if you only have a card that has Rush and there's no minions on the board, like you can play it, but you don't get the effect of Rush. But here, being able to, hey, cool, my opponent doesn't have any minions on the board, and I want to set this up as Divine Shield and Wind Fury so that I can hit for a lot of damage next turn. Or in a case where, wow, I need to clear this stuff off their board, and I need Rush and Wind Fury so I can clear off 2 things. Or that combination, of Divine Shield and Rush so you can clear off 1 larger thing. There's just so many combinations, and you getting to choose. I feel like this is the first time that we've really gotten something like this. Usually it is determinant of either a random effect or based on some sort of how many minis your opponent has, or whatever's going on in your hand or the board, or whatever kind of other requirements. But to just straight up choose which one you want is sweet. I am really excited for this one. And it's an elemental. I love elementals. Every year, every expansion, I always want Elemental Shaman to come back. So maybe it's this time with S.A.F.E. I did mention in the previous video, but that Justicar True Heart coming back for starting hero powers, becoming better ones. This is going to be kind of powerful for definitely certain decks, and especially at only 5 mana and a 6/4 body as well, pretty good. I will note as well that it has been clarified that if you are something like Reno, that this will not replace your hero power, your Reno hero power. So what it does is this will look at your current hero power, and if it is a starting hero power, then it will upgrade it to the better version of that starting hero power. So that won't affect things like Reno that we're still going to have in standard. And then the last one I want to bring up here, definitely a classic kind of like nemesis for a lot of people. Definitely one that caused a lot of commotion. Mind Control Tech. That's right, Mind Control Tech is back. This is a 5 mana 3/3 battle cry. If your opponent has 4 or more minions, take control of 1. So in the past, this used to be a minion that you would play, and if they had 4 more, you would randomly take control of 1. But I believe this one you actually get to pick which one you are taking, which... yeah! So it's a little bit more expensive because you will get to, I believe, pick which one you are taking. So that is also pretty powerful. This is also going to impact against, decks where if they have gone a little bit wider to try to play around this. Yeah, it's a little expensive though at 5, but being able to just straight up take control of a minion mid-game, definitely huge for some decks. And then, of course, we have all of the individual class updates here. You can see there are quite a few for some classes, a little bit less for some of the other classes. I will make sure that I do have that image here linked in the description if you do want to take a closer look at it, and then tons of neutrals. I am going to go through a few of these here and talk about these. If there are any classes you really want me to do like a deep dive on or specific cards, let me know in the comments as well, and I can definitely take a closer look or do a deeper dive video into some of these. But again, I'll start here with the Death Knight. A lot of these, some of them are leaving and some of them are returning. So the left side is cards that are leaving core, and then the right side is cards that are new to the core set. A few of the big ones for Death Knight, I would say Lord Marrowgar leaving is pretty huge. Patchwork leaving is pretty huge. I know that was definitely like a big tool for removal options. And Lord Marrowgar for, creating a large board, kind of a comeback mechanic after a more aggressive game plan. And then the new to the core set, again, I did mention already, but they have kind of adjusted some of these runes. So the Scourge, 9 mana, 2 Unholy Runes, Soul Stealer, these 8 mana, 5/5, 2 Blood Runes, and they are bringing back Frostworm Fury, Horn of Winter. These are all returning. A few weapons here. The Might of Menethal, Frostmourne. You gotta still have the weapons, of course. Then for Demon Hunter, only a few cards leaving and returning here. The Raskill Naga leaving. But at the same time, there is a little bit more token stuff coming in. So maybe they didn't want to have all of this at the same time. Or maybe there's going to be some other tool for token style decks. But bringing in the expendable performers, and Wayward Sage is going to be sticking around. For Druid, a lot of these ramp cards leaving. The big ones here, Nourish and Wild Growth. They did talk about kind of wanting to reduce some of that ramp. There are other tools already that that Druid has that they just got, for example, that do still ramp, but these ones have been around for ever, like in all of Hearthstone's history, so those are leaving. And Soul of the Forest also leaving for Druid, but coming in, we do have some of those older cards. Classic one, Swipe. Swipe is coming back to core. But also, this is really cool. I feel like some of these kind of older cards we have with the Spellstones, we're getting the Spellstones back. These will upgrade to different versions of that card and get better and better as you upgrade those cards depending on the requirement. So for the Druid Spellstone, it is deal 2 damage to a minion, and you have to gain 3 armor to upgrade that, and then it'll deal more damage. And then there will be a third version of the card that you upgrade again, and then you will deal even more damage. So cool to see those Spellstones back. And Swipe, definitely kind of a classic. For Hunter, the big boy, so sad. Our beloved King Crush is leaving, which I also find kind of odd how they're bringing back more charge stuff, but then they're getting rid of King Crush. So poor Hunter, losing that charge. But okay. Selective Breeder also leaving. So maybe not going to rely so much on that type of big beast style Hunter. But on the other side, we are getting some Hunter cards. Again, the Spellstones. I loved the Spellstones. They were a lot of fun. So the Hunter one is the Emerald Spellstone, and you'll get to summon multiple 3/3 wolves. And it's just playing secrets to upgrade that Spellstone. And we have Kill Command back. So Kill Command coming back is pretty cool. I did always love Kill Command personally. For Mage, the Aegwynn is leaving, Pyroblast leaving. Yep. All right. But returning, we have the Primordial Glyph, discovering a spell, reducing its cost, and Flame Strike coming back. So some more some more wide board stuff, which is, the Fire Sale's leaving, but then you got Flame Strike coming back in. So a little bit more expensive than Fire Sale and doesn't have the tradable, but does more damage. We'll see. And it only deals damage to enemy minions, not all minions. And then the Caligos that's changed a bit. So also coming back in. For Paladin, the True Silver Champion, Blessing of Kings are both leaving. Those definitely have been around for quite a while, but those are going to leave core. So not going to be available for Paladin anymore. But coming back, we have Lady Liadrin, Hammer of the Naru, Spike Ridge Steed, Silver Moon Portal. These are all cards that, Paladin is one of my top 2 favorite classes. So I loved these cards. Lady Liadrin definitely was used a lot with some of those very specific spells, but we'll see what comes out this year. If they're putting her in core, there's got to be something, I hope. And again, I love elementals, so Hammer of the Naru, summoning an elemental, love it. So some pretty cool cards there. For Priest, Benedictus leaving. He did stick around in this past year for core set, but out this time. Shadowed Spirit leaving, and Shard of the Naru, I think, is another very kind of big one that is leaving. Maybe even Shadow Word Death as well. And on the other side, coming in, we do have the Obsidian Statue returning. Oh my gosh, I remember that being like such a pain when Priest kept resummoning that, reviving it, bringing it back. And that's right, I mentioned Spellstones already. The Priest Spellstone, resurrect 2 different friendly minions. You can cast spells to upgrade that. So we're going to be seeing repetitive Obsidian Statues potentially. Again, it's coming back. For Rogue, getting rid of kind of this secret package with Shadow Jeweler Hanar and multiple secrets. Those are all going to be leaving. But coming in for Rogue, the Flick Sky Shiv was definitely something that was very used before, destroying a minion and all copies of it. That does include your own. So if you haven't played with Flick, just be aware of that. Like if you're destroying it, if you're destroying a minion and you have copies of that minion in your deck or your hand, it will destroy those as well. And Sap, another kind of classic Hearthstone card, coming back, returning an enemy minion to your opponent's hand. So Rogue will have access to that again. For Shaman, Doomhammer and Bloodlust are leaving. And also, notably, Strength Totem. So they added Strength Totem in, and now it's out. And we did see that the Wrath of air totem is back. So no longer buffing attack. We have spell damage back in Shaman. So as I mentioned, Wrath of Air totem is back. Spirit Claws is back. I know that was definitely one that was used. And Muck Pools. That's a pretty cool one. The Transform location sticking around. For Warlock, Mal'Ganis, and some of these other demons, those are all leaving. For coming in, though, we're getting Doomguard back. We're getting Doomguard and the Spellstone there as well, which has lifesteal and deals damage to a minion. And you have to take damage from your cards to upgrade that. So specifically from your cards, not your hero power, but upgrading that, you're going to deal more damage. But the Doom card coming back is kind of fun. Also playing in a little bit to their bringing more charge stuff back. For Warrior, some of this kind of taunt stuff is leaving Armadillo, Sword Eater, and again, like they brought in Magnetic and some mechs, so Dynamatic leaving, and Cruel Taskmaster leaving as well. That is kind of another big one, I would say, that has been used for quite a while with Warrior. So that leaving. But on the other side, we have the Sanguine Depths location sticking around instead. So I would say a lot of decks would probably include both, like the Warrior that really relied on dealing your damage to your own things and rushing in or charging your opponent's face. Okay, but we still have the Sanguine Depths location, so you can still do it somewhat. And for the neutrals, we have some dragons leaving with the Ysera the Dreamer, which is getting the each dream card to your hand. I already mentioned how that's changing. And Alexstrasza leaving. Dr. Boom leaving. A lot of these kind of classic cards here. The Ziliax leaving. Tour Guide leaving. But coming in, we have those few neutral cards that I did mention previously. So the regular Ysera, that at the end of the turn, you're going to get dream cards. So you're going to get that. The Siamat, I already mentioned. And, of course, Leroy, Justicar, the Mind Control tech, and those 4 based on Blizzard IP for Warcraft Rumble. So we're getting those. Molten Giant coming back in as well. Costs 1 less for each damage your hero has taken. Right off the top of my head, I immediately just start to think Warlock, since we kind of just looked at that. And Mountain Giant, both coming back in. Those were definitely, in the past, were very like Warlock and kind of Mountain Giant specifically control decks. Very heavily used in those. So to see some of these iconic cards coming back is pretty interesting. And of course, you got to mention South Deckhand coming back. Another charge minion while you have a weapon equipped. Since it's neutral, I think like Pirate Warrior and Pirate Rogue were 2 very common decks that South Sea was in. So we'll see if something like that pops up again. That is kind of a quick rundown of these cards. What do you think of all of these core set changes? Which class are you excited to start maybe looking at analyzing the cards or thinking ahead for some decks potentially based on the core set? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for checking this out. And if you haven't already, go ahead and check out the video that I released talking about the year of the Pegasus and what else we have in store. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.